While the RSO as it currently exists dates back only 20 years, PDP's history goes back somewhat farther. PDP was founded as a moonshining operation in the Ozark Mountains during Prohibition. Due to a combination of scrupulous quality control and rampant alcoholism, the group developed a reputation for binge drinking that persists to this day.
It would be the height of exaggeration to suggest that PDP was simply a motley collection of hopeless drunkards. In fact, there have been various times in the group's history when they were focused, primarily on the normal activities of theatrical production and not on wild drunken parties. In fact, there was the temperance period, which I believe began in early 2001, wherein wild parties were canceled altogether, alcohol was no longer to be served at any PDP social gatherings or cast parties. It's difficult to say precisely how long this period lasted, but the consensus among historians is that it was definitely between 8 and 15 minutes.
As a means of staying one step ahead of the revenues, the group created a traveling theater company, hiding their bootleg hooch in props and costumes and passing it out to patrons surreptitiously during act breaks. It was this need for convincing hiding places that directly brought about their show, 47 Abe Lincolns and their magnificently tall hats. The end of Prohibition came with the ratification of the 21st Amendment by Ohio, Utah, and Pennsylvania on December 5, 1933. Seeing their major revenue source dry up almost overnight, the group had precious little alternative but to divert their resources into the only remaining area the group had thus far operated in, theater. The transition was not without its difficulties, forcing the troupe on more than one occasion to resort to cannibalism. These tough times would later lead to their hit show, A Donna Dinner Party, which was hailed as ambitious and completely disgusting by the New York Herald Tribune. Circumstances improved, and as things picked up following World War II, life got better for the group. The production of 12 Angry Men with Beards received rave critical reviews, heralding it as the newest thing since Brecht broke the fourth wall. And while press surrounding their staging of The Duchess of Malfi was middling, it featured the stage debut of a young Daniel Day-Lewis. But it wasn't all champagne and baconaise for this collection of scrappy artists. Ultimately, it would be their most far-reaching production, Where's Waldo the Musical Experience, a massive postmodern opus on the nature of individuality in a conformist culture gone mad that would prove the group's undoing.
Let me tell you something, kid. Writing is about the hard knocks. Writing is about getting punched in the eyes, struggling back up to find the other guy to punch him back, only to be told that he left the bar 3 hours earlier. Writing is about bleeding. You're pouring out all the blood in your veins to create a tiny piece of truth. And you gotta replace that blood with something. That something is booze. All of the great writers of history have been drunks. Hemingway, Edgar Allan Poe, J.K. Rowling, I'm assuming.
It was panned by critics as being not worth the $3,000 cost of admission. Called derivative, nonsensical, and worse, it was panned by a young intern at the theater desk named Roger Ebert. Said Ebert, "I hated this play. Hated this play. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting minute of it. Hated the sensibility that thought anyone would like it. Hated the implied insult to the audience by its belief that anyone would be entertained by it. It was a disaster that would send the group into obscurity for the next 3 decades." In 1992, an enterprising pair of individuals named Gerhard Pandemic and Giuseppe Scandolfari came across the group's old charter, which read, "In vino veritas," and vodka, also gin, rum, whiskey, and beer. It was a statement that would change the course of the group's development over the next 20 years.
The penny dreadful players. Yes, they accounted for about half of our business in some months. The Lord has favored our enterprise by granting us with an ocean of wine, which we could then sell to college students at reasonable rates. It's in the Beatitudes somewhere. Give food to the hungry, give drink to the thirsty. And that is exactly what my brothers and I do. For money.
What does the future hold for this innovative group of motley artists? What new strides of artistic achievement will be made? Only time possibly absinthe, can tell.